Welcome back. It's another Creaky Bloody Gamers battle report. Let's get on with it.
Okay, g'day viewers. Welcome to another battle report from a 1500 point tournament, Oldhammer 2. So if you revise my list, you go back a couple of videos, I went over what I had taken. So I've got a couple of level 4s at 1500 points, which is a bit cheeky. And I've got a battle standard bearer, a couple of units of night goblins, a big block of orcs with the spider banner, some squig hoppers and a chariot and a doom diver. So as soon as I sent the list in, I figured I didn't have enough combat punch. I've got some squig hoppers and a chariot. So I'm just relying on some magic and shooting to do the job, which probably just need that guy on the wide. The Great Keith is missing. The Great Norman, the shaman, is leading the army. And anyway, first up, there was my tier list. And I'm facing a Bretonnian list here, an exiles list, which you can see, which I rated would be up in the top 8 there. And spoiler alert, he finishes a little bit higher than that. So it's a tough matchup to start off with. So we have to weather the storm of the scouting peg knights with the BSB. The BSB is allowed to scout forward with them because the unit gets scouts vanguard forward with them. So if they win the roll-off, the peg knights with the BSB in there can charge whoever they want. And then he's got the baron up the back there with some more peg knights, a big block of knights in the middle, and he's got some peasant archers, and out on the other flank he's got his bombard and what are they, mounted yeomen with longbows as well, I think. Oh, pretty good range bows, short bows. Okay. Anyway, that's the list. So the boys, we need to win turn 1, otherwise those peg knights are going to come charging into us wherever they want. I'll have a look at the orc deployment. So there's the unit of 40 boys. They look pretty good. That's looking down the top view. So if you look at it, there's Norman, the level 4 shaman, my doom diver at the back, my other little night goblin level 4, and the chariot and the squig hoppers hiding up the back. And this is just where he scouted forward. And if they get the first turn, they're going to be into me wherever they want. And do I release the fanatics early or whatever? And that's pretty much it. It's just checking where he can charge whoever he wants. I think the boys could hold with their poison attacks. And I've lined them up too deep, right across the table there. You notice they're very near the edge of the table. That might come into play later on. So if you haven't deployed your army, you can make mistakes in game 1. It takes me 3 games to work out what I'm doing usually. So I usually come good by game 4 and 5, but there's only 3 games. Anyway, there's his BSB in the bigger unit of 4 vanguarding peg knights. There's the baron and another 3 knights. There's his big block of knights making up his core, some peasant archers, and just to the right of those, on his left flank, he's got the bombard and the mounted yeoman. So that's it. There's the boys lined up, ready to take it. Let's go to turn 1.
Let's go. Turn 1.
All right, turn 1. So the orcs did win the roll-off, and I've travelled mystical pathway that unit of night goblins out in front. I don't know why, but they've just gone out the front there, maybe to release some fanatics or attempt to charge from his peg knights. But his peg knights have got the option. They could charge the orcs on the hill, they could charge the night goblins or the other night goblins on my right flank. They take the option of the goblins on the right flank, and I put a lot of shots into them and do maybe a wound or 2 to the peg knights, so I didn't really do much. The much vaunted poison shots from the orcs didn't really do much. His armor saves protected him, so I needed a couple of wounds, and I've popped the fanatics out in front. That way I can send them forwards or backwards, depending on which way his unit of peg knights go, which gives me a chance, maybe. So his peg knights charge in his turn. They charge my night goblins on the right flank. They're going to make a mess of them, and I'm going to make a mess of them as well, because I'm going to send those fanatics back backwards through my own units, through his peg knights, and through my other unit as well. So I'm going to do a lot of damage to myself. So 2 fanatics make it through, and they do a bit of damage. And then in his turn, he fails to charge with those knights. They don't quite make it. And the other unit of peg knights doesn't quite make it into the night goblins as well. So you had a couple of failed charges. So I was pretty lucky there as well. So I've had a bit of luck winning the first turn, and he failed a couple of charges with his other units. But those peg knights are going to make a mess of those night goblins. This is the charge for the, he rolled a 2 and a 1, and then he swift stride as well. I think it was probably a 1 or something. So those, yeah, it was. There we go. So he's failed that charge. So sometimes peg knights fail charges. It's not disastrous for him. It's just allows me to survive for another turn. So they failed their charge there. So those night goblins push their fanatics back through themselves and through the peg knights to try and do some damage. So those 3 fanatics, 2 make it through. So 2, those fanatics go back through that way, through everybody, just avoiding my own chariot. That's the only thing I've really got that can do anything to them. Try and reduce the number of attacks into the night goblins, because my night goblins have just got short bows. They've got no armor, no shields or anything. So there we go. A couple of fanatics went through. I did a lot of damage, like about 9 damage to my guys, and I killed a couple of peg knights. So I'll take that, I guess. I've got to kill them somehow. And then they're going to kill those. Well, they're going to kill most of those night goblins. The night goblins are going to hold. They're going to fall back in good order through the chariot, so they escape. They actually go through the fanatics again. So those night goblins go through the fanatics. Again, did a lot of damage to myself with the fanatics. But that's goblins. They're expendable. Plenty more where they came from. And so then he overruns into the chariot. So there's a couple of fanatics there. He hit the fanatics again. So there's only 1 peg knight left and his battle standard. And these night goblins are still alive. They still have fanatics in them. So they didn't panic and run off the table. He didn't outnumber me. The BSB was around to help them hang about. So that's the situation at the end of turn 1. So can the orcs hold? I've got some peg knights into my lines. Only the BSB and 1 Pegasus knight left. But he's going to be into me next turn. So I've got to do some damage before they hit my lines.
Turn 2.
Okay, turn 2. And the boys did a bit of shooting here. We killed a few of the knights. So the short bows and the bows from the orcs killed a few knights. So that was a little bit of a victory, bit of shooting there. And the Doom Diver, it lobbed a little fanatic over the top there and killed one of the peg knights as well. So I was feeling pretty good at this stage. At turn 2, I'd killed a few, couple of knights and some peg knights and so on. So things were looking pretty good. And, you know, when things are going good, things are about to go bad probably. And I was just hoping that my chariot could hold, right? Maybe his BSB might whiff his attacks. Maybe the chariot might get a wound or something. So there's his BSB attacking my chariot. The chariot's toughness 5, but his battle standard's got extra attacks and a whole bunch of other stuff and so on. And he destroys the chariot. Doesn't even get a chance to do a break test or something. So then his battle standard's going to be free to do what he wants next turn. So there we go. So that happened in my turn. And now he's got free reign. The night goblins out the front are looking a bit worried. They'll do a stand and shoot against the knights, I think, but they don't do any damage. And so the knights and peg knights will go into my little unit of night goblins at the front. And his battle standard, I have to send fanatics. I send fanatics and everything through him. Doesn't do any damage. And so he's going to charge the flank of the Araboys. And I knew this was going to happen. I just hoped the chariot could hold. That was my only hope, was the chariot could hold. But I probably should have reformed the orcs because they were so close to the edge of the table. So when he goes into the flank, my battle standard's in there as well. And I'm right near the table edge. So this, I do these things. There we are. Right, so you can see the orcs are right near the table edge. So if they fall back, they'll be off the table. So I do these things just to show you what not to do. I make these mistakes so you don't have to. And then those pig knights are into the night goblins as well. So it's all over for those night goblins. And in a minute, you'll see it'll be all over for the arrow boys as well, with my battle standard in there as well. He only has a couple of wounds, but he has flank and a few wounds and standard, etc. I have a rank and a standard. So I fall back in good order, which I pass my test, but the orcs fall back off the table. And these night goblins, well, they're going to actually hold. They fall back in good order. They destroys a lot of them. He's just moving up just to surround me now with his shooting. Even his bombards advancing on my position. And you can see, look, they look great, the boys there on the hill, firing their arrows. But their pig knight, the BSB on the flank, is, I guess, going to push them off the table. So my only hope then is maybe for the squig hoppers to do something. So we'll rely on them. Never rely on squig hoppers, but sometimes they do some good.
Run for it, lads!
Like crying now. I know what's going to happen to the orcs. I knew it before it even happened. Those boys did well. With the battle standard reroll, they managed to fall back. There's my battle standard hiding under the wings there, but I don't issue a challenge. Or do I? I don't know. I think, no. I think he just flails about the unit, or maybe he kills my champion or something. And that's pretty much it. So that's look, they were looking great, the boys on the hill, but that's the end of them. They fell back off the table and he pursued. So he's up on the hill and there's no more arrow boys. The boys are gone. There they are. They're in the dead pile. Oh no.
Let's get out of here!
Turn 3.
Okay, turn 3, the mighty squig hoppers charge the battle standard.
Easy pickings,
I
boys.
guess he doesn't even have a rear because he's a skirmisher, but it didn't really matter. We didn't do any damage at all, maybe one wound, and then he turned around and killed half of them, and then they broke and ran. So it was a valiant effort. Yeah, so 3 hoppers running away. Yeah, they all died. So he's sitting on top of the hill. He's got 360 arc. He can charge whoever he wants. And so the rest of the game is really just him flying around and cleaning up units. So he's going to clean up my little night goblin shaman. He's going to kill the doom diver, or maybe the doom diver misfires. Anyway, the doom diver dies. Those night goblins die. He kills everything you can see in the picture there. And then he's just hunting me down. And there's the Great Norman. He's trying to get away on his boar. Even his mounted yeomen come in and kill a unit. I've got a couple of fanatics flinging around, yeah. And so his pig knights are chasing after the Great Norman. So he's running away. He's fled from that charge. And there's the mounted yeomen come in and finish off those night goblins. Had earthen ramparts on them and so on. And the Great Norman's fleeing, and he's just going to play cat and mouse for the rest of the game. There's my night goblin shaman's dead. And so we play out the rest of the turns. I valiantly hang on until turn 6, I think. There's the Great Norman. He's there, and then he travels mystical pathway. He tries to kill some peasant bowmen with some magic missiles, etc. And eventually his baron catches up with him. And that was it. I did not have a model left at the end of the game. Oh, terrible. What a disaster for the boys. Okay, so a bit of an embarrassing loss there. I think that we were doing okay at the start. If I had played a little bit smarter. So as I predicted, the Bretonnian Exiles is a very strong list. I've seen much stronger ones, but at 1,500 points, he cut out all the chaff, all the magic and so on that wasn't doing any work, but kept all the good stuff, and I predicted it would finish quite highly. Quick spoiler, he actually finishes up on the top 4 there. So I'll go over the comparison of where we went, my predictions, and see how they went later on. But round 1 was a bit of a disaster for the Great Norman. As soon as I submitted my list, I thought, I know this is 2020 hindsight, but I did think I didn't have enough combat power, and I wished I'd swapped my little Night Goblin Shaman for maybe a hitty orc character or something, maybe a boss. And Anyway, I had the Thinking Orcs hat in the Orcs as well, so they didn't have to charge. So maybe I could have put that towards a boss and put him in there, give them a little bit more combat punch. I may have been more encouraged to use them as a combat unit as well. And, well, I learnt my lesson about deploying in a big long line right next to the edge of the table. You've got to be careful of where you're going to fall back in good order and not off the side of the table. But that's 2020 hindsight. So that was a lesson learnt. And so round 2, we'll be down on the bottom tables facing the undead army. So that's where the undead army is. And so we'll both meet on table 10 in round 2. So stay tuned for round 2. I'm hoping the boys can make a better account of themselves. So I had to put this report up there, even though it was very disappointing how the boys performed. But we did fight on bravely. The great Norman tried to be elusive until the last round they got him. Just couldn't get away from all those skirmishing peg knights. Nowhere to hide on a table with skirmishing flying cavalry. Anyway, thanks for watching. We hope to do better in round 2, so stay tuned. Bye for now.
Well, that was different.
Yep, lousy,
But different.